Hello
Hello
there. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy, watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. I'm Eli. Jacob can unfortunately not join us today or for the next episode, but I'm having guest hosts, both of them. And today we have a guest who I am so excited to have on the show. I can't believe there are a bunch of people who I'm like, I cannot believe I've never had this person on the show. And one of the people that perfectly is like, yeah, I've done so much with this person, and I'm like, I'm surprised it's their first time, but I'm so glad to have them on, is our guest co-host today. It is from Boga's Cantina. It is Sean Roome. How are you doing, Sean?
I'm doing great, Eli. I'm glad to be here. Big fan of the show, big fan of hyperspace, big fan of or epic confrontations rather. And yeah, just excited to be here and talk about one of my favorite games of the past 10 years.
What a segment we got as well. Today, this is episode 144 of Star Wars in the Galaxy. Today we watched from the 5 hour 15 minute mark of our cutscenes to the 6 hour mark from Gamers Little Playground. Thank you so much to them again for posting all those great cutscene montages to YouTube that we use for In a Galaxy here. I'm gonna spoil this off the bat. This is my favorite segment of the game. This is it. This makes the game for me. I am so ridiculously excited to get to. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, because it does. It hurts bad, but this is just not as an offense to any other part of the game. I think this game is generally brilliant writing all around. I actually think it's probably the best writing of any Star Wars video game overall, but this part is what sells it for me, and there's a bunch of reasons why. But before we get into our thoughts on Survivor, we always do this with our first-time guests. I want to ask you, Sean, how do you get into Star Wars? Yeah, how did you find your way into this galaxy far away?
Yeah, totally. So I was a little bit late to Star Wars in terms of the things that were released for someone my age. My first Star Wars experience actually was seeing Revenge of the Sith on the big screen for a friend's birthday, 2005. And after that, I was just sucked into the world. I fell in love with the characters and the planets and the action and just all of it, really. And so that friend whose birthday it was, I asked him, I was like, that was incredible. Is there more? And he's like, oh, dude, there is way more. So he exposed me to all of it. He had all the originals on VHS, like the original versions of those movies. We played Battlefront endlessly together. We played Lego Star Wars. We played all of it, Empire at War. So the video games and the movies. And then later on, I think I was on board with the renaissance of Star Wars, the revisiting of all this stuff in the Disney era as well. So I was just hooked. And I think from that moment, I saw Revenge of the Sith. The rest is history.
Yeah, it's always a magical experience with that first thing. And I remember for me, it was like that because I was 2 when Revenge of the Sith released. But I remember even with my family, it was like in our living room just watching A New Hope. And that end credit, the French run, I was like, yep, this is going to be my thing. It's one of those moments where you always know. And I feel like, I don't know if you felt this way, but I felt like after that point, it was one of those things where after I watched all 6 at the time, I don't really remember the early days of my fandom. I just remember when I was already into it. There's before and after. There's no really during.
Yeah, no, I can definitely feel that. It was just such a runaway train after that point. I was just like foaming at the mouth for it.
Yeah.
That from the first shot, like that first opening sequence of Revenge of the Sith with, the space battle leading to Obi-Wan and Anakin fighting Dooku. I mean, I was so enamored by that. And then the rest of the film, obviously, but it consumed a lot of my life moving forward.
Sith has a freaking great opening. I will like it is definitely in the bottom half of my Star Wars rankings. That doesn't mean I hate it by any stretch of the imagination, but God, is that opening good. Like those drums are just like in that long panning shot, my God.
Yeah, and it's the one with Bode in it and my boy Cody.
Yeah. So let's jump a little bit forward in time. How did you come to Star Wars Twitter and the podcasting space and all the crazy stuff we do over here?
Yeah, for sure. So I had been following Star Wars Celebration for years, watching from my couch on YouTube. And the first one I got to go to in person was Chicago. went, had a blast, but didn't put myself out there in terms of meeting people and engaging in the ways that I had hoped. So I made a pact with myself, a promise that at the next celebration in Anaheim, I was going to put myself out there and meet people. I did that. I met people standing in line for panels. I met people in hotel lobby bars. I met people at Mosh Isley and at the Disneyland night they did. And it was just such an unreal time. And I got to meet a lot of these people who had been in my headphones for years and just felt welcomed by the community in a way that made me want to engage on a more meaningful level. Understanding that Twitter is where that community was based around, or those people who I had met were based around, I logged on and never looked back, even though sometimes I regret that decision, sometimes I don't, but most of the time it's great, and it's introduced me to so many incredible people and opportunities. And
Just quick note here, it's going to date this episode a little bit. We are recording this during peak Acolyte fever, and thus during peak, unfortunately, Acolyte backlash. I will say, I think I've experienced both, like, the peak and valley of this, because I was of this fandom in the past, like, few weeks, because the Acolyte fan screening that I was lucky enough to go to was my first Star Wars that I saw in theaters since Rise of Skywalker. So it'd been 5 years. And I met some great people there. We were all having fun talking about Star Wars. When our projector worked, watching The Acolyte all together was just such an exhilarating experience. Our projector did not work at first. Oops. But immediately afterwards, seeing the review bombing, which I try not to check as much, but dear God, seeing the absolute vitriol, it's one of those things where, and I've been pretty vocal about this on Twitter, where I'm just like, I've had it with these people. I'm just done with these people. I am.
Yeah, and I'll just say that I'm someone who doesn't honestly care that much about what a film or a show's rating is on Rotten Tomatoes. I think they're foolish things to measure the love of a movie for, or the success of a movie by.
Yeah.
It's already a baseless system. But my problem is when people get on social media and directly attack creators, actors, or just fans,
Absolutely.
like, for loving something. Why
It,
hold that hate in your heart for against someone who is
yeah.
just enjoying a piece of media? You don't have to love it
Yeah.
yourself. I've had my own
It's
issues with the Acolyte, but I'm not gonna shit on other people for enjoying it. That's toxic and really a sad thing to see happen.
Yeah, it's unconscionable, and especially with the number, of course, people of color, queer people at the center of the show. However badly it's been masked in the past, which I think it's been very thinly masked in the past. This time, I feel like the mask is slowly but surely slipping off bit by bit.
And
Where,
if yeah,
yeah,
if you're sending DMs to someone using hate slurs and telling people to hurt themselves or worse,
yeah,
you are the
or yeah,
worst type of person,
yeah,
and
and
you
I'm
should
no
fuck off.
longer. Yeah, and I came down on Twitter on a stance that I feel like I should have come down on a while ago. And Ewan McGregor said this with the Kenobi. Like, I'm not counting you as a fan anymore. I'm sorry, I'm just not. Enough is enough. I'm not saying toxic fans. No, you're. I'm not going to try and associate myself with you in name or in any other way. It's
The
just
block button is your friend, I would
Oh
say.
yeah, and I've been using it liberally. Although I will say, another Elon feature of Twitter where they stopped imported block lists. But anyway, yeah, we're here to talk about Jedi Survivor, and what a heartbreaking segment of Jedi Survivor. To quickly summarize what we watched, Cal goes back to the Mantis while Bode stands by the dead body of Dag and Gera for no reason specifically, absolutely none. As they go back to Jeddah, where Master Cordova is able to fix the compass. He's able to fix it, but it takes some time in which Cal and Cere solidify plans for the hidden path to relocate its base to Tanalorr. As the compass is being fixed the next day, suddenly everything is looking great. Everything is looking awesome for everybody. And then the alarm starts to ring because the Empire has somehow found them. As Cal and Cere try to figure out how the hell this happened, Cal turns around to see Master Cordova with a blaster pointed square at his chest. And that blaster is being held by Bode Akuna, who is a traitor. Bode pulls Cordova close and fires the blaster, killing him. At which point Cal goes on an epic speeder bike chase, chasing him across Jeddah as the Imperial invasion cements itself. They eventually catch up to each other on a ledge of some sort, mountain. And when Cal tries to attack Bode force pushes him back, revealing that he too was a former Jedi who's taken up refuge with the Empire in order to protect himself and his daughter following the rise of the Empire. Bode and Cal fight. Bode manages to push Cal off of the ledge and knock him unconscious, although he is still alive. At which point we switch perspectives for the first time in the Jedi game to Master Cere Junda, who, along with Merrin, Grease, and the Anchorites, protects as many people as she can from the Imperial invasion with AT-ATs, ATSTs, TIE fighters, KX security droids, all different types of stormtroopers that are assaulting the hidden path base on the moon of Jeddah. They manage to hold off the attack, but Cere goes back to get the contact codes from inside her makeshift library. At which point, the doors open, and we see him again. The Empire sent one of their top enforcers, the Sith Lord Darth Vader, to go and deal with Master Junda the same way he dealt with her 5 years prior. They have a duel of epic proportions, but in the end, though barely, Vader kills Master Junda. Cal manages to awaken and get back to Cere, at which point he finds she is already dead and sees her fight with Vader through his psychometric abilities. And Cal and Merrin and Grease resolve to find Bode and try to not only seek revenge for what happened, but also to get the map up to Tanalorr back that he stole when he made his desperate escape. They managed to track him to the Nova Garen system. Cal raids the base, becoming basically a one-man army, and intimidating Bode's superior, Commander Lank Denvik, to try and get information. Where we see Cal struggling to control his newfound anger because of Cere and Cordova's death. What a shocking God! This all could have done. I feel like one of the things with this is this all could have been done so sloppily and cheesily, but it was all executed so well. Like, the ideas were so good and they were all executed so well. I'm just like, God, this is such a great segment.
Yeah, when you gave me this segment to review and let me know that this was the section of the game that I was going to be joining you for, this is the crux of it. This is the climax. This is everything.
Yeah.
So for my first time playing this game, you get to this point in the story and you're like, things are going really smoothly. We beat
everything's going
Dagan
great.
Dagan Gera's done. We've beat Ravis. Is his name Ravis?
Yeah,
right?
Ravis.
Ravis.
Yeah.
So
My thing was
we've
like,
beaten a couple villains, and so you're on your way to the resolution of the story. You've got a working compass. You're gonna finally get to Tanalorr, and
I'm
then
like,
you realize
is this gonna
there's
be
this
easy?
whole. Yeah,
is this gonna be like? I feel like we took down Dagan a little bit too easy, and then we reveal that Dagan was never the villain you had to take down all along.
And it's this whole third of the game, this final third of the game, that is just a complete surprise, and it has everything from traitors to epic lightsaber fights to speeder chases to changed perspectives to ISB bases. This section has everything that makes Survivor such a great game.
You're absolutely right about that. The majority of this segment takes place, of course, on Jeddah, on our third trip to the moon. It's really interesting, especially watching those conversations in the night before happen.
Yeah.
Now that we know what's about to happen, now that we know what Bode's about to do. Before, the first time I watched it, I remember, this is nice. They're all getting to spend some time together before they go to Tanalorr. But now it feels like this creeping sense of doom like, oh no, y'all don't know what's coming for you.
Yeah, this was the first time I had revisited that scene, or actually any of this, since playing the game through the first time and knowing what's about to happen and what Bode is about to do. It just codes some of the things that he says. He is having a conversation with Cal, and Cal is like, "Your daughter would understand what you're doing and why you're away from her so much
Yeah.
and what you're putting her through." And he just
No,
goes,
she
"I
wouldn't.
hope." He says, "I hope so."
Yeah. It
Knowing what he's about to do, knowing that he's about to betray people
yeah.
who I think he does hold some care for.
Oh,
And
absolutely. It's truly one of the greatest things about, and this segment of the game really is made is made for me by three people, maybe four. For me, no offense to anybody else in the game, they're all fantastic performances, but this is Cameron Monaghan, Scott Lawrence as Vader, Deborah Wilson, and mostly Noshir Dalal, who sell this for me. Because because it's still very confusing in a good way. I really don't know what Bode was feeling. That's up to interpretation very much. Do I think that he loved Cal and the others in a way? Yeah, I do. But I don't exactly know to what extent. I feel like he did feel guilty about what he was doing, but then again, he still did it.
yeah, he felt that there was no other option, like many
Yeah.
characters do in Star Wars, that it's not worth fighting the Empire because you're always destined to lose. And he was resigned to that fact. And so he truly believed that this was the only way he could protect his daughter. We would hope that he would have made a different decision, but I think, he wasn't as connected to Eno, and you could argue he didn't need to kill him in such a brutal way right in front of everybody. But
Yeah.
he still clearly, I think, did care for Cal and wished things had been different. I think he can reflect on his previous 10 years or so and been like, wow, how did I get to this mess of a situation? So there is some like tragedy there, some serious tragedy involved in Bode's story, of course.
Yeah, it's incredible, especially like every time that he calls Cal brother in this game, I get that twinge. It's like a if he was really your brother, if he was really that close, as close as you were suggesting, you would not do what you're going to do. Brothers don't do that to each other.
No, they don't. And you are feeling betrayed. Like I remember playing the
Yeah,
game and I was not really suspicious of Bode. And maybe I should have been. Maybe I missed some
I
things,
wasn't as
but
well.
but
Yeah,
I think that they tailored this story to make you not suspicious of him so that when
yeah.
he did betray you, it hit that much harder. Because I was like,
Well,
"Oh, you fucking asshole. How dare
yeah.
you?" Like when you get on that speeder bike and you chase him down, the player who's controlling Cal is out for blood as well. He's like, "What
Oh
the hell?
yeah.
You're raging, you're screaming." Like Cal
There.
on the speeder bike is screaming Bode's name, like Bode. That's
Yeah.
what you're feeling. You feel that in a deep way
I
as a
don't
player.
even really remember a lot of this segment, like the directly after the betrayal. I didn't even remember it very well from my first playthrough because very much, Cal, you're seeing red. You're like, okay, this guy's gonna pay. This guy's gonna pay for what he just did to Cordova. This guy is
Mhm.
going to pay. We've had this ongoing joke, and it's incredibly ironic that Jacob couldn't be here for the execution of this. But when we were playing, when I was showing him Jedi Survivor for the first time, I made a joke off of Pod Save America where they'd call a former vice president, they call him Mike Pence of Hang Mike Pence fame. And so I called him Bode Akuna of Fuck Bode Akuna fame. And I kept saying to Jacob as we were playing through this, I was like, listen, just so you know, fuck that guy. And he was like, okay, I don't know why. He seems like a perfectly good guy to me. And then this drops. He's like, okay, no, I understand everything now. I understand everything now. And yeah, it's don't get me wrong, I love Rampart. I love all the other bit roles that Ashir Dalal has played in Star Wars as of recent. He's been doing a lot actually.
He has. He's been
Um,
busy.
but this is his best role so far to me, and it's not really even close.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
juiciest one for sure. Rampart gets to do some fun things. He's a villain we love to hate, but Bode
and
Akuna is
I
a character
underestimated
that we fell in
Rampart.
love with. and then fell in hate with.
Yeah, it's. I really do believe that Bode Akuna is the best Star Wars villain we've gotten since Kylo Ren. At least, yeah, at least for me. And I can. There's a lot of parallels I can draw between him and Kylo because they're both they. You can almost hear Bode saying, "I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it." That is a very. That's also a very Bode
Yeah.
line.
When they're out at that campfire and they're spending that one last night together, and the way they hug each other, he knows what he's about to do, and he is clearly grappling with it.
Yeah.
Um,
And there's also that great bit of foreshadowing I love, which when Cere tells Cal, Master T'Pol would be proud of the Jedi you have become. Which, yeah, but it's funny that you say that, Cere, because in not days, Cal will be making some decisions that Master T'Pol might not love.
yeah, it's really an example of, we took this character and he's getting what he needs to. They're about to find safety for the path and for themselves, for his family. He's in this beautiful place. He's, connecting and sparking a romance with Merrin. Like, things are
Yeah.
going good for Cal.
It
And
really,
you
Cal
you
had it
really
all.
you really just break him down in this
Yeah.
45 minutes of this gameplay. He gets broken down to the core, and I know you guys will cover it in the next episode, but the ramifications of what happened in this segment of the game, I don't even think we're gonna be done dealing with that until the next game. We're gonna have
Oh, I'm sure not.
remnants of
Yeah.
this in the third Jedi game whenever that comes out.
Yeah.
This has really done some permanent damage to Cal.
Absolutely, it has. By the way, I do think, now that you mention it, I do love the confirmation here. I'm glad the whole they kissed on Jeddah thing was not just like a one-time thing. I'm glad they're making it into an actual relationship here. Speaking of them actually doing that relationship, is it just me or did they definitely did more than kiss there, right?
I
That's not just
mean,
me, right?
there is a
He,
clear time jump from middle of the
he
night to
he's
the morning.
meditating in the morning, like when we next see him. I'm just saying, Jacob called me crazy when I said this. I'm like, look,
No,
okay, man.
I'm
I don't
100%
make
with
the
you.
rules here. I don't make the rules here. But
You question where they spent the night in terms of, like, there's not really even a mattress or like a sleeping bag on the ground there,
and
but
yeah, and Jeddah isn't
I'm sure they
exactly the
made
most
do.
comfortable planet. But yeah, that's as far as we found out. Very cold, actually.
But they kept each other warm.
That's true. That's very true. And then yeah, of course we get to that betrayal. I wish they didn't kill Cordova. I think I like Cordova more than most people like Cordova. Like I'm a big fan of his character, but I completely understand why they did it.
What's crazy about Cordova is that you guys have touched on it earlier in the game, in the playthrough, but as a player, you get to the moment where Cordova is revealed to be there on Jeddah. He opens the door to BD, and
Yeah,
I was blown away. I guess they never confirmed that he had died, but you
but we had all
assumed that
thought
he
that.
did. You assumed it because you only saw him in holo recordings in the first game, and so to even get him in this game at all, I was like, we are truly blessed. And for them to strip him away like that again, oh, that's messed up. That's not right.
It was brutal, and it was one of those things where I am at least glad, especially that Cordova, because we got that thing in this game a few episodes ago. I forget exactly which episode this was in, but where Cordova was reflecting on his own Jedi journey, and he was like, "Look, a few steps away, and I absolutely could have become what Dagan Gera was. Like
Yeah.
my obsession with the Zepho, luckily didn't lead me that way, but it absolutely could have. And I'm glad that he was able to move on.
Yeah.
I
And
would,
it's nice to see that he found the peace and he
yeah,
reconnected with Cere in that way. That I wish we had gotten more time to see them interacting with each other and how that
yeah,
dynamic went.
I
I'm
do
sure they,
too. But there's
yeah.
probably more room for storytelling before that because we don't know exactly how long they had been on Jeddah together.
And so we got like a comic series that came out with the first game, a mini series that followed
Yeah,
and Cere as they were starting to hear about the
The
Zeppo and
Zeppo.
follow him around. I would love another mini series
Please.
around their time after they've reconnected to see
Who
them
wrote the
again
Dark
at an
Temple
older age.
series? I'm actually curious because I don't actually know. Matthew Rosenberg. I've never
Mm.
heard of this writer. Um,
It was great. It's like a 5-issue
yeah,
miniseries. It was like a
yeah,
supporting series to that first game.
yeah. The only other thing he's done for Star Wars is write the 108th issue of the original Star Wars comic. I don't know if you remember this, but they brought the original Star Wars comic back a few years ago for one issue,
Hmm.
just because it was just for fun. It's Legends, but like it was literally just for one issue. They decided we're going to continue the original Star Wars storyline, just because, which I think is really fun.
Hey, why not?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure it's great. I think you could probably do a good job. Maybe because it was Dark Temple, maybe it would be like Jedi Temple or something like that, referring to the base they established on Jeddah or something like that. I could see that being a nice contrast. But yeah, and then we see the Imperial occupation of Jeddah really clamp down in the chase as we see Jeddah become more in the state it will become by the time we get to Rogue One, where we see it just fully clamped down under Imperial occupation. The occupier tanks exploding in, constant trooper patrols. It's not
Mhm.
like it wasn't there. It's not like this wasn't there here anyway. It's just like even more. The entire moon is locked down. We get our first AT-ATs in the Jedi games, which I'm a little disappointed.
There's an AT-AT in the first game when you're assaulting
Oh,
Kash
there is. No, never mind. There is. You're right. Wow. How did I forget the? You're right. You're absolutely right. We got
Saw
our first
comes and knocks
AT-AT
on the
of
window.
we got our first AT-AT of this game,
Yeah.
and I almost wish we got to play. We got to fight one, but like, I understand why. There was already enough going on in the game that I
Well,
understand why we didn't.
this little speeder bike segment, it's not the most engaging gameplay. It's much more of a storytelling device and an
Yeah,
experiential one
absolutely.
that you just drive through. But I will say it has one of the coolest action moves I've seen in a Star Wars game, and brutal at that. But it's when he's
It's the
fighting
slam into the
the
tie.
scout trooper and he slams him up, throws him up, and he just throws him into an oncoming TIE fighter. That is
It's crazy.
brutal. That is
It's
crazy, and it's an indication of how dark things are about to get for Cal.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember seeing that moment because this was in the trailer.
It was.
That
It
moment
I
was in the
remember it released
trailer.
at Celebration London. They released that trailer where that was revealed for the first time, and it was the talking point. It was like what people were talking about was like, "Oh my gosh, he throws a
Yeah.
scout trooper into a TIE fighter."
And it's really funny to
Awesome.
me that we saw that moment, but we had no idea what was going on at that moment.
No. No, they were
Like,
showing us, like, such a and actually, the whole time I was playing it, because it was such a moment from the trailer, the whole time I was playing the game, I was thinking about this moment, and I was like, "Where is this? Is it just, like, a side thing I haven't done?" And I figured it was because I hadn't got there and the story was resolving itself. I figured it was just some side thing that I hadn't checked out, but,
yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wild.
and then it's like a desperation move from Cal. Get the hell out of the way. I'm here for Bode. Um,
Yeah.
and then we get onto that ledge. And then we have our second part of the twist, which I heard a lot of people, even people I heard online, like who were saying, "Oh, I predicted Bode was going to be a traitor, but I didn't predict that he was also going to be force sensitive."
Yeah.
Which what a shock that was. And it's what I love about it is that we now get to include Bode in the very direct thematic comparisons in this game that we already have. We all thought that this was going to be a game about what Cal does as opposed to what Cere and Cordova, once we found out, does versus what Dagon does, which is an
Mm.
interesting enough dynamic. But now we add in the X factor. Now
Well,
we
and
added Bode.
you have the title of this game, which you think at first is about Cal and his crew, they're survivors. And then in the trailer, you're introduced to Dagon and realizing that he's a survivor from the High Republic. But then
Yeah.
you realize not only are they survivors, Bode Akuna, I would
Bode
argue,
is a
is
survivor as well.
the survivor. I
Yeah.
think that is where the name came from, is from Bode. They figured out this story
Yeah.
and they were like, this guy, showing basically contrasting how different characters in this story, Cal being on one side and Bode being on another side, respond and navigate surviving this really tumultuous time in the galaxy.
Yeah. It's just a fantastic twist. But what we learn, what's interesting is that Bode, technically, if we want to get technical with it, which I do only to make this point, which is that Bode was more of a Jedi than Cal was. Bode was knighted by the end of the war. And yet, as another fallen Jedi once said, twice the pride, double the fall. Bode was more accomplished just because of age than Cal was. But in doing that, he had more to lose. And he definitely lost way bigger. I do want to quickly just point out, I love the music from Gordy Hobb and Stephen Barton in this section. I like their music, the Jedi games, regularly just anyway, but their music for this section of the game, where it needs to be dramatic, where it needs to count, it counts. It's really good.
They were crushing it on every level, both story-wise, character-wise, but also on every practical level. This game just blows it out of the water, and this segment showcases all of those different things. All the different
Yeah.
levels of production, gameplay, level design, all of it is in this climactic section here.
And one of the other things is that I think is so interesting as we get into this first fight between Bode and Cal. What I think is so great about this game, and I know that friend of the show and someone who we all look up to in our own various ways, Alex Damon, when he was talking about when Jedi Fallen Order was starting to when those details were starting to get released, he was concerned, as were I think a lot of people, about the gamification of the Force and how they would mix Star Wars themes with the fact that this is a video game.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most beautiful applications of that is here. Because you can't win. Literally, you cannot win.
No.
You cannot beat Bode. Once it gets down to a certain health, a cutscene triggers and you lose.
Yeah, and it's not even that far down. That is a thing that you can do in video games sometimes when it's teeing up another boss fight later down the line. You did it with Trilla at the beginning of the first game. You
But
fight
even
her several
that, you
times and don't get
escape.
it all the way down. You do escape, but it's a game mechanic that is quite familiar. But in this case, you're right. They're doing it differently where you get blown off the side of a damn mountain.
You just straight up lose. You just straight up, Cal just straight up gets knocked unconscious and there's nothing you can do about it.
No. And when you watch it happen, you're like, wait, what the heck? There's no way I'm prepared for this fight. This guy he's using the reverse grip lightsaber and a blaster and throwing grenades at me and jumping around.
Yeah, and then you get that reawaken, which we didn't see here, but I know you get, and it's the same thing that happens when Cal is taken out by Bagonk or whatever bounty hunter it is in the first game.
Yes,
taken to Order Eris.
I have something to say about this during my playthrough. When I was playing this the first time, and I got pushed off this mountain, and I got knocked unconscious, my game crashed at that moment. At that moment, Eli.
Ooh.
It was one of the rough parts. It was the only time I had a game crash in my whole playthrough.
Eek.
And it happened right then. And I really was confused. I was like, what just happened? And I was hoping that it wasn't going to mess it up because it was clearly in the middle of a really important story moment. And so I booted up my game again. And thank God it started when I booted it back up. It just started the intro animation to this next segment. But I thought for sure I had lost something. But I was really confused. In the moment, I was like, what are we panning to? Okay, there's some dropships and stormtroopers, and I'm like, wait, what the hell? Is that Cere?
Is that
Like,
Cere? Yeah.
is that fucking Cere?
What a fantastic not only story but gameplay twist that we get to play as Cere.
Oh, so
Um,
cool. And the way
and
they do it within the story, you alluded to it in your introduction and your recap, but blows my mind when I think
it's
about how
so
cool it is.
it's so cool. I know a lot of people wanted that other player experience, and I know a lot of people want it with a different character who I think we will probably. I hope to God we get to play as that character in 3. That
Yes,
character, of
I
course,
agree.
being Merrin. But playing as Cere here, especially what I think is often missed about this, which is that even though Cere in so many ways embodies what a Jedi should be, much like Ahsoka, she hasn't called herself one for some time.
Yeah, she's
Uh,
been through the ringer.
yeah, and she
Yeah.
hasn't picked up a lightsaber for a long time. She used one against Vader. She used Trills against Vader on Nur, and that's pretty much it for her with the lightsaber. Her picking up a lightsaber and using the Force combatively to defend the Jedi base is a big deal.
It's interesting because in my mind, that climactic moment at the end of the first game where she reconnects with the Force and goes through the base and helps Cal escape, that was to me, I read that as her reconnecting with the Force, and that when she went on her own way and reconnected with Cal, that she's refamiliarized herself with the Force and a lightsaber. I imagine she was doing some training there on Jeddah as
Yeah,
well.
I don't think it was nothing. It's just not very. I don't
We don't
exactly.
get
It's
to
not very
see it.
conclusive.
Yeah.
Exactly how much she's been training or something like that. But like, she's good. She's really good. Her
Yeah.
like bringing down an entire Imperial carrier with the Force, which is something that Cal does not get to do in this game.
Or her like repulse ability where she like deflects and then pushes everybody out. Like
Yeah,
that is not an ability you get to do with.
she's an incredible fighter, and I'm so glad we got to play with her for this entire
Yeah.
sequence because she's similar enough to Cal, of course, with the lightsabers and the heals that you don't need to change much, but the animations, obviously, Deborah Wilson has her own style about it, and it's just
Yeah.
it's just so fantastic.
And
Um,
you still have to like work through a couple puzzles to get through that section while you're on the outside
Unfortunately, yeah.
of the temple. And I just remember being like that section actually took me a little while to get through because I was just distracted by the fact that I was playing as
Playing
Seer.
as Seer, yeah, it's crazy, and yeah, it's one of those things. Like, yeah, when especially that segment where Seer is where they break into the base, like literally break into the base. And in
Mhm.
that cloud of like fire, basically, Seer is just mowing down ATSTs, stormtroopers, purge troopers, what have you. That is peak Jedi for me. Did she want to do that? No. But this is for the future. This is for the
She will
future
if
of the
she has
order.
to. Yeah.
This is for everything she's fought for and for the next generation. She goes
Yeah.
all out. Have the ball trap on the AT-AT walkers, which is fantastic.
It's
Um,
wild.
it's yeah, absolutely wild. That's honestly the word I
I'm
use
not
to
sure the
describe
fit.
this entire sequence.
There are some crazy physics at play in that segment with the velocity of that ball and the height
Yeah,
it gets to hit the AT-AT. Like it's just baffling to watch happen. You're
yeah.
like, oh, this is what we're doing. This is what we're attempting to do is launch this thing. It made me giggle a little bit, but it
It,
was
it,
awesome.
it
It was badass.
it's ridiculous, but here's another thing I heard somebody try to do. I heard somebody tried to use their tow cables and wrap around AT-ATs and make them trip. That's so stupid, isn't it?
Hey,
But it
no, you do what
worked.
you gotta do.
But it worked. But it worked. And then she goes back into the vault, and when she goes back into the archive, something's about to happen. And I will just say that I going into this game, I'm like, you don't need to bring Vader back. In fact, I'd prefer if you don't.
Yeah,
He had his thing at the end of Fallen Order. That was a top tier Vader sequence at the end of Fallen Order.
for
Perfect.
sure.
You
It's like a
can't
horror
outdo
moment.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't outdo horror movie slasher villain Darth Vader. So don't try. And I was wrong. I was so incredibly wrong. Um, I know we've gotten similar shots in Obi-Wan Kenobi and in Rebels, but that his silhouette, like the fire casting from the back, God, looks so cool.
Yeah, it really is one of those things where you're not thinking about Vader. You're really not. They don't mention him. He's not really a looming threat throughout this game. But when those doors, when she senses something and she's telling BD to get the hell out, and you know something's coming, but
Yeah,
you're a little bit confused as to what. But it's building up in a way that builds suspense, and then it opens up, and of course you're like, oh fuck, we have to fight him.
yeah.
And then
That's the other thing.
in
Like,
your head, you're playing through it. You're like, this can't end well.
yeah, you
They're
know this
doing a
can't end
rematch.
well.
They're not going to let her get away from him twice.
Yeah, and obviously, of course, he can't die because Return of the Jedi has to happen. But it's breathtaking how they do it.
It's so
Um,
beautiful.
and there's just some stuff with this, and I'm not gonna lie, the twist with Bode, phenomenal. The double twist with Bode, fantastic. The Imperial salt on the base, beautiful. The stuff on Nova Garen is excellent. Most of the good stuff, unfortunately, I think we'll get to next time. But this is what makes this sequence for me. This is what makes this segment for me. This lightsaber duel is the greatest lightsaber duel I have seen in a Star Wars video game. It's if I made a top 10 list of lightsaber duels, I think this would be on there. Like they nailed Vader and his like fighting methods because you can.
Yeah.
Vader is not an easy character in terms of like lightsaber dueling stuff to get right.
Yeah,
It's
because
a
he's
you have to
bulky. He's not very fast, but he's
yeah,
strong
he's
and he's
not very
menacing.
fast, but he's still incredibly deadly. So how do you make somebody so hulking and terrifying without them
Yeah.
even if you're able to move twice as fast as they are, which Cere very much is. And God, by the way, look, I love Jarek Eager, I really do. But Scott Lawrence just needs to do Vader from now on. Honestly, I'm sorry.
He's great.
He's so
It was such a
good.
great performance.
I legitimately there's that. I'm not very good at telling voices apart with Vader, honestly, because I think the one I can tell most and the one I probably like the least, which is still I like a lot, is Matt Sloan Vader, who from Force Unleashed, and I believe also from the Battlefronts. And he's good. He's very good. But I think in terms of James Earl Jones' successors, and honestly, I'd much rather prefer Lawrence to AI, even though I did like how they did it with AI and Obi-Wan Kenobi. But for moral reasons, I would prefer they hire Lawrence and just do it. But like that
Yeah.
and I have come for you is just it's so menacing. It's so Vader.
Well, and
It's
she's trying to be like, "Oh, I was thinking you might have died on Nur," and he's like, "You, it is foolish to think that
to
your
think your
actions had
actions have
any
had any
consequence."
consequence. That is, it's a
Central
great
Vader.
harkening back to the beginning of the game where Cal gets inside of Senator Sage's ship and he's like, "We haven't been doing anything," and Cere is the one to convince him, "No, we have to play the long game." And then here's Vader
Yeah.
batting it back. No, you've done nothing
Nothing
basically,
at all. Yeah.
and it's like
Also,
the
this fight was the hardest fight for me in either game for some reason. So
interesting.
I think a lot of people have trouble with the Ravis fight.
Yeah, for me it was always Ravens, but
So I did
especially
that one in
because
two
this
or
has
three. I did that one in like 2 or 3 tries. This one, I don't know if I had accidentally reset it to a higher difficulty setting or what. I was screaming at my maybe it was just because I was so full of emotion and like adrenaline at the fact that I was trying to fight Vader as Seer and what might happen. But I
yeah.
struggled with this one.
I've heard Vader is difficult. The only reason I'm not saying that Vader wasn't difficult for me because I think it was, but the only reason that Ravis was crazy is because he fights so unorthodox. Like at least Vader kind
Yeah.
of fights like the others.
And you know what Vader's he's
Yeah,
going to come at you slow, he's going to come at you strong, and if you stray too
yeah,
far away from him, he's going to force pull you back into him.
yeah. And the other thing is that Vader has one health bar.
Mhm.
Ravis has two health bars. right? But
Yeah.
after you defeat him once, you have to do it all again, which is
It,
ridiculous.
it's very
Um,
demoralizing.
yeah, but like this Cere versus Vader duel is just so incredibly cinematic. It's one of those things where
Yeah.
like I appreciate how, especially like how the new canon. One of the things I think the new canon has done so well is how they've handled Darth Vader. Is because they could have easily. They have new technological advances. They have all this stuff they didn't have when they were making the original trilogy. They could have just poured that all out on Vader like they did on everyone else. And they did to a certain extent, but not to the point where it made you forget the slow, haunting shamble of Vader in the original trilogy. Vader and Obi-Wan in that first duel obviously carries great emotional significance, but most of the time they're just poking each other.
Yeah.
But due to the like heightened emotions, you feel it more. You don't need Duel of the Fates because you know that to these two guys, this is important.
Everything, yeah.
And I think that this fight and others, specifically the ones in Obi-Wan, combined like these new advanced sword fighting techniques that had been developed for the prequels and sequels and other stuff, while still maintaining that emotionality. There's that moment where Cere and Vader hold up their lightsabers to each other. They don't actually clash, but like, it's filmed from an angle where it looks like they should clash.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And it's something that Kenobi and Vader do in A New Hope, and I don't think it had ever been done since. I'm like, God, this is perfect. That's the thing that makes this fight for me. Honestly, it's just that little detail. I'm like, yeah, they're dueling in the old Jedi tradition. This is not some scrappy newcomers. Not that I have anything wrong with that specifically, but these two are battling in the old tradition of the Jedi Knights.
Yeah, and like timeline wise, they were probably not too different in age. They were probably relatively similar. They might not have been exact
Interesting.
peers. I think he was probably a little older than she was.
Oh, I
If
think
I'm
I would have thought that she was older.
Or I guess I'm misremembering exactly where the
We don't know how
where
we
that
don't.
comic takes place. She's maybe a little bit older than he is, but I'm sure she was a knight and he was a knight at the same time hanging around the Jedi Temple. So they're
So she was. No, I think she was older. I'm just looking at Wikipedia now because Dark Temple. I thought it took place near the Clone Wars. It actually doesn't. I believe, yeah.
Hmm.
Dark Temple takes place the year Anakin's born. So when Anakin's
Oh
born,
geez. Oh, okay. Then never
Cere's a
mind at all.
Padawan. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's like 15, 16 in that.
Yeah.
So she's
So
his senior. Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah. But honestly, if you had told me that they were around the same age, I would have absolutely believed you.
I would have said
Uh,
like 5 years older than him maybe, but
yeah, I would
that's
have
quite
said
a
that too.
difference.
Yeah, but
How old was Eno? Damn. Eno must have been an old man by the time this game happens. He is
see,
clearly old, but
I think he was probably like 60s some,
this
but
but yeah, this fight was just so beautiful. The way that they work it into the archive and slamming them against
yeah,
they're slamming each other against these archives. Seer has that awesome hero moment where she brings the flaming archives piling down on top of
yeah.
Vader.
Which is
And
great, and I love that moment and the Vader recovery moment. I will say I think I would have liked it a little bit better if they didn't do the same moment kind of cooler in Rebels, but like,
and there's
with
only
the
so many
walker.
ways that they're going to be able to use Vader in fights and without repeating each other. We saw the helmet slash in Rebels versus the Obi-Wan series. So those kinds of things
Yeah.
are going to happen, but they're still so freaking cool when they
No,
do.
they're still phenomenal. And I was also looking at this, what I'm calling thematic sort of micro emphasis of a theme that's been quietly popping up in some other stuff, which is it was very much like we see it in Last Jedi, we saw it in Fallen Order, we saw it, of course, here. We also, I think, saw it at the end of Mandalorian season 3, where Vader is, hurling these books at Cere. And the goal is clearly look at all this hard work that you did, and I'm
Right.
ruining for you. And Vader would be doing something, if Cere wasn't still following the Jedi way. And I love like the moral victory in that, which is like Cere's, yeah, no, the books don't matter. They do matter, of course, and we'd like to keep them more than we wouldn't. But preserving the memory of the Jedi, preserving the people over the books, that's the important thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. But Vader knows exactly what he's doing. Sure, he's using them as a weapon, but he also knows the meaning behind it. He knows that he's hurling all of these collected works of the Jedi as a weapon to destroy them and try to crush Cere with
Yeah.
that in the same act. He's trying to cut at the core of the Jedi and bring them to an end.
And of course, if we remember, Cere very damn well near broke in at the end of Fallen Order.
Of course, she was broken when we met her in many ways. That's why I relate to that character in so many ways. It's such an awesome character to have there in Star Wars as someone who has dealt with trauma, dealt with grief, dealt with horrible things in their life, but walked right up to the toe of giving right walked right up to the edge of giving up, but never crossed that line and pulled herself back and ended up building and hoisting up the path, which is what the future in this story, the future of the Jedi rely on. So it's her holding on and her faith that things will get better and her hope, you could say, is inspirational. And Star Wars needs that and needs characters
Yeah.
like that.
No, it's incredibly impactful. It's I was just gonna say, like, compared to like the brokenness he saw from her at the end of Jedi Fallen Order against Vader, this is resolute. This is
Mm-hmm.
I know what I'm dealing with now, and you're not going to stop me.
Yeah,
This is very
absolutely.
much Cere's Return of the Jedi moment.
And she gives it to him like she holds her own.
She does. She does
Messes
a
him
lot better
up.
than I thought.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, at this point, I feel like you gotta pour one out for Vader a little bit. 9 BBY was a tough one for him. Still don't know. Jacob and I have been running with the assumption that Survivor takes place after Obi-Wan Kenobi for this entire season, which I still think is true. But when you look at it, I'm just like imagining this from Vader's perspective. Like, he just got done with dealing with one of the most devastating losses of he's had in years to Kenobi on that rocky moon.
Yeah. And he needs a win.
And then he's, oh, that Jedi fucked up real badly on Nerve 5 years ago. This should be easy.
Yeah.
And then he almost loses again.
I know, he gets crushed, and there's something really cool about seeing Vader in his suit on fire. He is literally
such a cool
on
imagery.
fire. And that must be so traumatic for him. Dude has a really complicated past with fire.
Yeah.
And sand. And he's on Jeddah. He's literally entombed in fire and sand. That's his worst nightmare, probably. He's probably, oh my god.
Books, which would probably remind him of the Jedi archives, which would be Anakin's least favorite place to be in the temple. He'd rather be out on missions fighting the separatists and stuff. And it's literal hell for Vader.
And after their fight, skipping forward just a slight bit, but when that fight is over and he puts that finishing blow on Cere, he only barely manages to pull himself up to a standing position and limp off into the distance. Yeah. He knows he's done the job, but he's like,
yeah,
shit, that was harder than I thought.
Yeah, at this point, it was like, I feel like very much for Vader was like, yeah, I won that, but that wasn't a good win. That was not a clean win.
He went straight to the back to tank after that.
Yeah, 9 BBY was not a good year for him. It's a fantastic use of Vader. Love how canon uses him. Still think he should not be in Jedi 3, but that's just me. If they can top both of the Fallen Order and Survivor, then totally, but I don't know how you do that. But by all means, Respawn, try.
It's execution. It's always execution. That's my opinion on all of this. If you can do it well and do it right, then go for it.
Yeah.
But
absolutely. And then Cere dies. What an arc we've had with this character.
Yeah.
Throughout these 2 games. What a send-off we got to this character.
You couldn't go out any better way, honestly. Like, she got taken out by the dude. Like,
she got taken out by Darth Vader after a fight that she very nearly won.
The greatest cinematic villain in history she got
Yeah,
taken out by.
yeah,
That's
and
not a bad way to go out.
and she beat. Let's be clear, she beat, and then she went in for the killing blow and forgot the fact that it's really hard to kill this guy.
Yeah, she was a little bit overconfident. She had ultimately done what she needed to do, which was buy time
Yeah,
for the rest of the Mantis crew to do what they needed to
yeah,
do.
yeah, and she got the context codes with BD1, and the path is safe.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'm sure a bunch of anchorites got out as well.
yeah,
She ensured the future of the Jedi Order by
yeah,
sacrificing
absolutely.
herself.
And then we see that this whole sequence has been a big psychometry flashback from Cal, which is something I did not notice the first time around, but is a fantastic storytelling touch here that I thought
Yeah,
was just so beautifully handled.
because you're
Uh,
technically still playing as Cal. You have that
yeah,
realization that you have not left Cal. You just rejoined him when he has
yeah,
connected and held Cere in his arms and lived through everything she's lived through.
yeah.
That's genius. And they didn't need to do it that way. They could have done
They
it
could
in a
have
much
just
more
flashed
lazy
back,
way.
but
They could have
yeah,
flashback, they could have done it as a separate side thing, but to connect it to his existing abilities, which we use throughout both
the
games
game is
prevalently,
genius. Yeah.
is
Um,
genius.
what's also genius, I think, in this one is because I'm not sure how much Dave is personally involved in the Jedi games. I wouldn't say he's probably provided a few ideas here and there. But like, God, Dave, have you seen Cameron Monaghan in those fucking scenes after Sear dies? How you watch those and say and don't immediately say get this motherfucker in live action is beyond
They
me.
they are going to do it.
I think they are too, but like
I would
it's
put
like
solid money on that happening at some point. He
yeah,
he is Cal, and he's right there.
it,
He's walking around filming other shit. Get him
yeah.
signed on to something.
At this point, the thing that like clears it the most for me is that he was at the Acolyte premiere.
He's been at all of it. He was a major Star Wars fan.
Yeah,
It's
he
just about
he
finding the right
loves this
story.
stuff. Yeah, but God, I want to see Cal Kestis. He's I liked him fine in Fallen Order, but he got to show so much of his chops in this game. It's incredibly impressive
And I
what
think
he
I've
does in this game.
absolutely he really gets to flex his acting muscles. But I think I have heard an interview with him saying that he would love to do live action, but that he definitely doesn't want it to be just a cameo appearance, or he wants it to be meaningful. He wants it to be important and necessary. And
Yeah,
who knows? Dave might have come up to him and was like, "Hey, do you want to feature in The Mandalorian in some way?" And he's like, "No, I want to
yeah.
do this character a little bit
Do a Jedi
more."
miniseries. Honestly, do a
Sure,
Jedi miniseries. Do
sure. But
like a
I just think
six
it's a matter of time.
episodes. Yeah, I please. But yeah, this is all a the next part. The next bit of this is just all. I feel like just a downward spiral from here. Is just a lot of the fallout from Cere's death. It's what a. I also really love the. So we get to Cal, Merrin, and Grease getting to all react together as to what just happened. And the first thing I want to point out is that hug between Cal and Merrin.
Mm.
Because there was like 'cause their kisses in the earlier game and stuff like that. That was truly like, oh my god, I think I'm in love with you, and all that, all those like euphoric emotions and that kind of stuff. This is not that. This is I love you, and no matter what, we're going to get through this together.
Yeah,
Which I think is such a, of course,
yeah.
tragic but beautiful turn for their relationship.
And I have to say that I had forgotten about that moment a little bit. So rewatching that, I was like, that was quite emotional for me because I've recently had a lot of hugs just like that one. And it is so powerful. And I think that they pulled it off so beautifully. Like you can
Yeah,
tell, yes, Marin and Cal care deeply for each other. And in the first part of the game, it's, oh, a flirty will they, won't they vibe. But this is, oh my gosh, now the flirty fun part of it is to the side for now. I have your back, you have mine. Please
yeah,
don't go full dark on me because we need to move forward. And it's just like a glimmer of hope for Cal to hold on to for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and as we've said in previous episodes, the having Merrin there, in my opinion, is what keeps Cal from going all the way down.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
And this relationship is so core to the end of this game.
Yes.
And I will
And
say,
you guys are talking on the next episode. You guys are going to talk a lot about that, I think.
I'm absolutely certain about that. We have a moment that I forgot about, which is where Grease is like rambling about how could he? How we didn't know he was a Jedi, and then Merrin very quickly goes, "He is no Jedi." And but Merrin is the one to say that. Merrin, who was raised in a completely different philosophy than the Jedi, but has spent so much time around Cal, she's instantly, no, that's not the Jedi I know.
Yeah, it's a great example of them all. Like all three of them are trying to pick each other up in those moments and not let each one beat themselves up in a different way. I know at one point, Merrin and Cal are talking about like how could we have not known, and Grease butts in and basically is like, guys, shut up. This is not on you. This is on him. He did this, not you.
Yeah. I
Don't blame
literally
yourself
was
for
the
that.
next moment I was about to mention. And I think it's maybe Grease's, my favorite Grease moment in either game, where he's like, look, that the end of that speech is really fantastic. He goes, "We all know it's a rigged game, but we choose how to play," which he's absolutely right.
Yeah. And he's just trying to hold the team together. He's trying to hold everybody down and hopefully not lose anyone in what is like a really strong moment of grief and chaos for them.
Yeah. And then they find that facility on Nova Garen.
Which I will say, it's only a passing shot, but when they are arriving on Nova Garen, how freaking cool looking is that place?
It looks insanely cool. Like,
God, like the inside geode, but in space.
It's incredibly cool, and I want to see like a sort of, we get like an Operation Cinder type story of the rebels doing cleanup across the galaxy after the Battle of Endor, maybe even after Jakku. Who knows? It could fit in either. And they find the facility on Nova Garen. That'd be such a cool thing to see.
It's way too cool of a design to not revisit at some point.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
unreal.
Yeah, it's incredibly cool, and I like seeing very much the military side of the ISB. Of course, in Andor, we get to see the political side of the ISB, which is also very cool. But seeing the sheer armament and how they conduct security at their security bureau is very cool. And then we start seeing Commander Denvik, Lank Denvik, who, what I really appreciate about him, I gotta say, is he is not complicated. He's not a complicated villain. And he's also not mustache twirly. He is not over the top at all. He's just a guy, an evil guy, doing evil stuff for the Empire. And that's all we really need for this character. We don't really need an extra reason to be angry at him.
No.
We can reserve that all for Bode.
And the way they deal with him so Cal is making his way through this base, eventually finds his way right into his office.
Yeah.
And that confrontation is exactly what we need. It's this guy saying, "Oh yeah, like he's been my agent for all this time." It's revealed that Bode has been working for the ISB and was sent in by this guy to go infiltrate his team.
Was sending information back the entire time, which is another.
And was exactly. It wasn't just a random call. It's been a setup. He knew from the whole time that he was with them that this is what was going on. And Cal doesn't have any time for it and just wants to find Bode. And so all it takes is one good throttle down on the table and knocks him clean out.
Yeah. But I do appreciate, look, I'm not saying that Denvik doesn't have a lot to answer for, because obviously he does. But this is where we start to get to the themes about where Cal's acting out of anger. And look, Yeah, again, as I said, Denvik doing having done horrible things for the Empire is not an opinion; it's a fact.
Yeah.
Who's Cal to be judge, jury, and executioner on this one? He's still acting out of anger. He's still doing things that a Jedi shouldn't do. And we'll see next time when Merrin holds him back, of course, and all that kind of stuff. But we start to get a little bit of that darkness creeping into Cal here, which I think is handled very well. And then, let's see. Yeah. Do you have anything else for the Nova Garen stuff before we finish off this segment?
Yeah, we do get one classic Star Wars situation, which is him putting on the uniform and
Yeah.
walking around in the sort of the white ISB outfit trying to blend
Yeah.
in, which is
Our
just like
stealth.
so typically Star Wars putting on
Yeah.
a stormtrooper outfit and sneaking
But he
around.
does
So
really well. He actually does really well with it.
and he talks to
It
people.
helps.
Like you can go up and talk to ISB people and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're walking." They just accept it. Ugh. It's a little
It
nerve-wracking and you can tell you just want to
yeah.
throttle all those guys.
Yeah, and what's especially intense about it is that it changes the whole nature of the game for a bit because you don't need to
Yeah.
worry about stealth for other stuff. You're a Jedi. Your lightsaber does the talking,
Yeah.
but now you actually have to like. It's not like if you don't keep a low profile to figure it out, but like, you don't know that in the moment, so it's like act
Yeah,
normal. How to act
exactly.
normally. This is what people look like when they act normal, right? Yeah, it's fantastic. We don't actually get to Bode deliver exactly more justification of why he's done the horrible things he done, but that's going to be the next episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy. Sean, I'll give the floor over to you first for this. What are your overall thoughts about this segment? As if we haven't already discussed it.
Yeah, we've talked about it, but it is the crux. It is the climax. It is the most meaty, emotional, whiplash filled section of the game. There's a lot of you think you're winding down, but really you're only getting into it. And you guys are gonna see out the rest of the story in the next episode or two. And it's a wild ride from here to the end, but
it
it's you
it
really
absolutely
start
is.
it opens a whole can of worms. It opened Pandora's box. It's what I think about oftentimes when I think back to this game. I think about this, and of course I think about the big drill scene with
Yeah.
Cal and Merrin on Jeddah. Those are the two sort of, but this whole section is
Yeah.
so memorable, and I'm glad this is the one I was here for.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we have you had you here on this one. Yeah, as I mentioned, this is my favorite part of the game. This is what makes the game for me. Bo's betrayal is so stinging, but it's so perfect in a story sense. One of the best twists in Star Wars in a long time. One of the greatest lightsaber duels I've ever seen. Just truly a beautiful sequence. Maybe one of my favorite in Star Wars video
Yeah.
games of all time. Before we wrap up this episode, however, we have a question. We have a few questions that we ask to our first time guests on In a Galaxy just to get to know them and their Star Wars taste a little bit better. Sean, first question, hard hitting question we have here. Who is your favorite Star Wars character and why?
Yeah, this changes. I think if I'm picking a major character, it's gonna be Obi-Wan. He just is an exemplary Jedi to me. When I think of Jedi, I think of Obi-Wan. I think of all the things he's been through, for better or worse. He was the exemplary Jedi for his time. We learn through him. Luke learns how to be a Jedi from him. So does Anakin, and we get to see his wins, his losses. I think honestly, the moment that sold me on him being this multi-dimensional character that has flaws and is very human is his relationship with Satine, and one line in specific where he tells Satine in the Clone Wars that he would have left the Order if she had asked him to when they were young, and that just opened a window into him that I hadn't seen before. I saw him as this infallible Jedi, and realizing that he was trying to figure it out and just trying to be a good Jedi, a good person, a good mentor, and that even though he tried his best, he had to deal with a lot. And yeah, I think he's most consistently been my favorite character.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. He's number two on my list, just below Yoda. So I'm absolutely with you on that one. What is your Star Wars movie ranking? If you don't have a movie ranking, you could just do top 5 or whatever you want, however you want to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done a ranking in a while, but it has changed recently because I recently got to see the original trilogy in the theaters for the first time a couple months ago. So I think Empire will always be my number one, but then shortly after it, probably uh The Last Jedi, honestly. I love so much of what is in that movie, not all of it, but I think it understands and I relate to it in a major way. Then probably Return of the Jedi, and you go down the hill from there. I'm not sure quite how all of them would rank out after that, but even the ones I view least favorably, which would probably be The Rise of Skywalker and Attack of the Clones, it's not that those I dislike them. I love Attack of the Clones. It's an awesome time. It's half romance, half detective noir that culminates in one of the coolest assemblages of Jedi you could imagine. And as a kid watching that, it blew my mind away. So it's all relative to each other. I
Yeah.
enjoy all Star Wars.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm totally with you there. Let's move out of the films. What is your favorite non-film Star Wars media that you think people are missing out on?
Oh, that people are missing out on. Huh. I don't know. I always think that the comics underappreciated, the books as
Absolutely.
well. So I could list off a whole bunch of comics. I think the Darth Vader Soul run is fantastic. I think
Legendary.
The Poe Dameron series is also very worth your time. And then my favorite book, honestly, that I think more people should read because it's just such a unique take on Star Wars is Phasma by Delilah Dawson. That book is really unique. It's weird. It's unlike any other story I've seen in Star Wars, and it's incredibly well written. Delilah
Yeah,
is an immense talent, so I would recommend that book to anyone.
absolutely. I've not read Phasma, but I've heard fantastic things. Absolutely. We all have one, whether we call them our Blorbos, our Glup Shittos. What's your favorite? Who's your favorite Star Wars background character?
Background character, he for a long time my favorite sort of background character. It's not that he never gets to say anything, but he's used very minimally, and I just think that the design was awesome as a kid, and I love this character's smile. I love the playfulness. I love the weirdness in that he looks totally different in different films. But I'm going with Kit Fisto.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, Fisto's wonderful.
He's awesome. He's like a Nautilin, so he's got like these tentacles in the original 2D Clone Wars animation. He's jacked. He's using his lightsaber underwater. It's like
I don't
that
know.
kind
He's
of
pretty
stuff was
jacked
just
in
so cool.
TCW as well.
He is for sure, but being able to use his lightsaber underwater and fight like that. That sort of endeared me to him, and also he's just got the goofiest looking smile on his face.
Yeah, absolutely. What, in your opinion, is the coolest Star Wars species?
The coolest Star Wars species. Are we talking sentient species? Are we talking creature?
I would go with sentient, but if you really have a creature one, then I'm not going to stop you.
Just as a creature, as a bonus one, I'll say Viractyl. That's a little bit of me
Yeah,
being partial to Boga and that
low
species,
hanging fruit, but still.
but still, the coolest species. You know what? There are so many awesome ones to choose from, and I don't know all of their names, to be honest. But I will go with Tyrannoman, whatever his species is. I don't know if we have a name for it or not, but
Oh,
from no, actually I wasn't, although that's a good one too. I was
okay.
talking about this is a good Glepshido actually. There's a great guy that Twitter dubbed Tyrannoman who was in uh Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series.
Oh, that guy. Oh,
He
what the
looks
hell is
like
his?
he looks like a T-Rex or something. It's
Uh,
like kind of wild.
I know exactly who you're talking about. I don't. I can't for the life of me remember his name.
I was a huge
It's
dinosaur kid, so that's always
yeah.
cool when they introduce dinosaur adjacent characters and
He was in
species.
part 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
on Dayu.
Yeah, let's see. I'm gonna try and find him. God, what is his name? Is
I just know
this
him as
it?
Tyrannoman because that's what Twitter was calling him.
Yeah, no, I will know it once I see him.
Treadgar Volk.
Fredgar Volk.
Does it have a
Uh,
species there for him?
Literally, it says alien. It does not have a species.
So I have no idea what that is. I know there have been saurian characters in like dinosaur adjacent species going back way through legends, but yeah, I'll go with that for now.
Yeah, God, what an incredible species. Good choice. If you were in the Star Wars universe, what do you think your job would be?
Hmm. Honestly, I currently work in the environmental field. I don't see a lot of that happening in the Star Wars galaxy. It's a little bit here and there, but
I was gonna say the
I think
Empire is not exactly great on environmental regulations.
no, they
Just
do a lot
at
of
least,
mining accidents and stuff, and like my job is in the real world in the last few years has been to stop a sort of a catastrophic mining proposal. And so I get mad every time I see the Empire pulling that shit. So maybe I'd be organizing people against that kind of stuff, or I could also see myself just like ditching all that and becoming a chef, working on Porter Engel's 9 egg stew. So yeah, maybe a chef.
I don't know why I'm so fixated on this, but I'm still thinking about for context, we're releasing this we're recording this early on in the Acolytes premiering after 3, because I think this is going to come out quite a bit later. But so I've been thinking constantly of the fucking parasite from episode 1.
Mm,
And I'm like, wouldn't it be really funny if like the eggs of that thing were like considered a delicacy or something like that?
yeah, it's definitely got alien vibes where it's like a face sucker kind of. It's very
Yeah,
gross.
I want to believe that like, maybe an extract from it or something like that, could be like really good, like food wise. I don't know why I've just been obsessing over that weird parasite, which is the moment I knew I'd love the Acolyte, because I'm like, this is so delightfully weird and ridiculous.
Yeah, very strange.
It's yeah. We all know the infamous George Lucas quote from the beginning. He's describing Anakin blows up the ship with all the robots, just like Luke blows up the Death Star. And then again, it's like poetry. They rhyme. Every stanza rhymes with the last. Hopefully it'll work. What is your favorite example of it's like poetry, it rhymes in Star Wars? Can be from anything.
Oh man, that's a deep question. I don't have a great answer to that off the top of my head. I think what I'm drawn to with the Jedi and I guess the Sith in some ways, but mostly the Jedi is the mentorship between the older Jedis and the younger Jedi and what they pass on to each other. I think that always rhymes with itself. Like any pairing of master and apprentice you get, whether it's in the High Republic or all the way through to Leia and Rey in the sequels or Luke and Rey, you get those they mirror each other, they complement each other. There's so many different ways that a master and apprentice can complement each other in that way. So I love seeing that repeated through the generations. It's different every time, but it you can always see the thread pulled through it.
Yeah,
I wish we did
absolutely.
get a little bit more of that, a little bit more explicitly on the dark side of things, and maybe we're about to in the Acolyte. I
Yeah,
have no idea,
who
but
knows? Although honestly, I wouldn't count much on it because May doesn't seem to know who her master even is.
no, but
Um,
who knows? Maybe her master is the apprentice of someone else.
yeah, I actually do think her
So
master is the apprentice, but
we'll see.
yeah,
As of now, we
but
don't know. You guys watching
as
this right now might
we'll
know the
know,
answer to all these things.
might know. Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, we don't know what we don't know. But anyway, what is your favorite Star Wars planet?
So that's another hard one. For lack of having thought about this too deeply, I think I will go with Agent Kloss. I think that
Fantastic.
there's something else there that I'd love to see more of. We didn't get a whole lot there. It's just like where the Resistance was hanging out in 9, but I think that there could be some really cool stories there.
That's great. I love Agent Class as well. If you could take one item or force ability from Star Wars into the real world,
It wouldn't be psychometry, I'll tell you that. That sounds traumatizing. That sounds like a lot of living other people's traumas. He says a lightsaber, but maybe I'll say a vector right now because
Oh,
we're in
yeah.
High Republic season. I count that as item.
Yeah.
Like a ship that I need technically a lightsaber to turn on.
Good hack, honestly.
It's a good hack. You get a little bit of a 2-in-1. I'll need a lightsaber to be the key. But flying around in one of those things, and this is the ship that the Jedi used during the High Republic, that we seem to hopefully we'll see more of it in the Acolyte as well.
Yeah. I believe the first one was, right?
Yeah, there was one, but we
The
just
one
saw it
that
briefly.
approaches the Trade Federation ship, yeah.
Yeah, we just saw it briefly though. I want to see some action.
Yeah, absolutely. And my final question. Time-honored tradition on Star Wars in a Galaxy. I'm going to show you a character. All you need to tell me is how you pronounce this character's name.
Okay.
This is an incredibly overplayed bit that I'll explain later.
How do I pronounce this character's name?
That's correct, yeah.
I don't know the bit, but that's Zam Wessel.
Yeah, it is. The controversy goes like this. Friend of the show, Devore from A Large View of the Force, always heard it as Zam Wessel.
Wessel?
Yeah, Wessel.
No, that's
And we have categorically proved him false with every single guest, including yourself, but one saying Wessel. We've beaten this point into the ground so much now, it's not even funny. I do have one more question for you, Sean, before we wrap this up. And that is, of course, where can all the lovely people find you?
Yeah, definitely. So I can most easily be found on Twitter at Roome Sean or on Instagram at Shroome, Shroom_E. It's a play on my name. And you can also find me occasionally, but rarely these days, over at Boga's Cantina, a little podcast that I sometimes don't. This year has been chaotic for me, so I haven't done it lately, but who knows? You never know when a new episode will pop up. So hopefully not too
Yep,
long from now.
absolutely. I'm very excited to see what Bogus Cantina is up to. May or may not be up to in the future, but yeah. No, thanks so much to Sean for coming on for this episode. You can find me. You can first of all, thanks for listening to this episode of In a Galaxy. Next week we're going to be covering the final 45 minutes of Jedi Survivor. Technically, it goes to 47 minutes, but I'm pretty sure there were some credits in there. It pretty much all evens out in the end. We are going to be doing that with insert guest here. I have not figured it out yet. We're going to be doing that with we're going to do that with them. We're so excited to have them on. Whoever it is, I'm sure I'll be excited to have them on. In the meantime, you can listen to us everywhere, all platforms. You can follow us everywhere at In a Galaxy Pod. You can follow me by my link tree, linktr.ee/_OGFan327 is where you can find all my stuff. Watch Epic Confrontations. But yeah, I think there's nothing else. All I just love to say is, may the Force be with you.
Thanks, Eli.
Always.